If you want to buy a new gaming PC that's reliable, will achieve high FPS in your favorite games at 1440p and even 4K resolution, and on top of that is also great when it comes to streaming, content creation and productivity work, this video is the right one for you. This $1,500 gaming PC build is the best one overall and it can run everything. I will show you the level of performance that you can achieve in different games, pros and cons, how to make this PC cheaper while maintaining the same level of performance, and much more. The link to this exact same system and also alternatives that I will mention will be down below in the video description. My name is Valentino. That being said, let's start. First, I will quickly talk about the components inside of this system. I'll make it as simple as possible, that way if you are a beginner you are able to understand me. In terms of gaming performance, you have two important components, the CPU and GPU or graphics card. For the CPU, I went with the i5-13600K. The CPU from Intel can do it all: content creation, streaming, productivity work, gaming, and most importantly, it will not bottleneck the graphics card, which is the RTX 4070 Ti Super. Now, since it's not going to bottleneck it, you will not suffer from FPS drops or stutters, which is amazing. Now, the 4070 Ti Super, which is the graphics card, on paper is ideal for 1440p ultra settings. However, you can use this graphics card for 4K resolution high to ultra settings as well, and you can use it of course for 1080p very high FPS. But don't worry, because I will get to the exact level of performance in just a moment. And before showing you the level of performance, I will just quickly mention the rest of the components. With this system you get 32 GB of RAM, which is ideal for gaming but also for streaming, content creation and productivity work. Then you get a 1TB SSD, which is the standard for gaming, and if you ever need more storage you can upgrade it easily down the line because the motherboard has more M.2 slots. By the way, you get a motherboard from Gigabyte with all the features that you need for gaming. And for the CPU cooler, I went with an aftermarket CPU cooler from Be Quiet, which makes the whole gaming experience quieter, and on top of that the build quality is top tier. And last but not least, you get an A tier rated power supply from NZXT, which is going to be ideal for right now and also for future upgrades that you may make in the future. And most importantly, your PC will not explode or randomly shut down. Now, one of the most important things when it comes to a PC is the airflow. The case is the NZXT H7 Flow. It has a front mesh panel which is amazing in terms of airflow, and then you get 3 RGB fans that I installed myself. But in your case, if you buy this system, you will not have to install the fans yourself because the NZXT H7 Flow RGB version is actually cheaper at the moment than the non-RGB version. So it already comes with 3 pre-installed RGB fans in the front, so that's less effort for you and it's also a cheaper option. By the way, if you don't like RGB, you can always turn it off. Trust me when I say the CPU and GPU temps in this PC are always consistent, and most importantly, with this type of airflow you are not going to thermal throttle your system, so you are not going to be hurting your performance long term. In terms of aesthetics, it's all up to personal preference, but in my opinion this case looks clean and beautiful. But do you know what's more fun than aesthetics? The level of gaming performance. Here I will be testing one high demanding game and one esports shooter. We will start by testing the high demanding game in Cyberpunk 2077. So right now we are in Cyberpunk, and as you can see in the top left you can see the real-time FPS, and below you can see the FPS average. Right now it's about 92 FPS on average. Keep in mind that this is 1440p ultra settings, no ray tracing or DLSS enabled, so if you turn on DLSS you can expect well over 120 FPS on average, but I would only recommend you turning on DLSS if you want to play with ray tracing max. Otherwise it's just pointless, because as you can see at 1440p on the ultra preset we are getting an average of over 90 FPS. Now the total FPS average by the end of the benchmark was over 90 FPS, and to be exact it was 93 FPS. Now moving on, we are playing an esports shooter. This one is Fortnite. As you can see in the top left, once again you have the FPS average and the real-time FPS. And one thing I forgot to mention is that you can also see the CPU and GPU temps, which are amazing. They do not go over 60 degrees for the CPU and over 41 degrees for the GPU, which is pretty insane. But as I said before, the airflow here is top tier. Now, in terms of FPS, right now we have an average of around 340 FPS, So you can buy a 240Hz monitor, even a 360Hz if you want to play at 1080p resolution. And right now we are testing performance mode, but you can easily play with the X12 and achieve about the same level of performance with a better image quality. As you can see, you can max out the level of 1440p performance even on a high demanding game, and of course an esports shooter. And if you want to see more benchmarks, here you have more tests in high demanding titles, 1440p ultra settings. You can pause the video if you want to see the exact numbers, and the FPS average total across all titles is 115 FPS, which is impressive for this type of games. And now let's move on to the esports shooters. Here you have more tests in terms of esports titles, and once again you can pause the video if you want to see the exact number, and the FPS average across all titles was over 340 FPS, which makes it ideal for a 240Hz or even 360Hz 1440p monitor. By the way, I will tell you the perfect monitor to pair with this system in just a moment. And this system is amazing, but let's talk about the pros and cons, because every PC has pros and cons. And let's start with the pros. The first pro is that it has a very strong level of 1440p performance and also 4K and 1080p in case you want a different monitor. Another pro is that it has a very strong level of content creation performance. I've been using the i5 13600K for 2 years now. I'm a content creator myself and I've never run into any issues. Honestly, it was an amazing experience. The third pro is that it has excellent airflow and build quality. And then the last pro is that even though this system is not cheap, it is not as expensive as the most high-end systems out there, like any PC with the RTX 4090. Those systems are going for $3,000 plus, which is double the amount of this PC, and they do not provide double the amount of FPS. But anyway, I will talk about the pricing for this exact system and its alternatives in just a second. Now, the only con that I found is that if you want to play esports shooters at 1080p resolution, you may want to replace the CPU and GPU combo. You may want to go with a higher end CPU because those titles at 1080p require more of your CPU, and then you want to downgrade the GPU. Now, you will have the perfect esports PC down in the video description as an alternative in case you want to play, for example, Fortnite 1080p and you want to compete for real while expecting about 500 plus FPS on average. And the price for the esports PC is going to be about the same as this system right here. Just keep in mind that you are losing some power from your GPU, so if you want to play high GPU demanding games at 1440p, for example Cyberpunk 2077, you are going to be losing some performance. Now that you've seen that this gaming PC is excellent in terms of gaming, let's talk about the pricing. That's the most important part inside of any gaming PC, because your system can be amazing, but you definitely don't want to sell a kidney in order to buy one. Here it gets a bit complicated because this exact same system by the time of filming is $1,550. Now, maybe when you're watching this, the price is different. It might be a bit lower, might be a bit higher. I do recommend you checking the latest pricing and availability from the links in the description. However, this system is a bit over $1,500 just because of the fact that I'm living in Europe right now and prices are higher, so I had to choose some components that are a bit of an overkill, like the CPU cooler. But if you are in the US and you want to save up some money and still maintain the same level of gaming performance, I do recommend you downgrading the CPU cooler from the Be Quiet cooler to a Thermal Right Peerless Assassin, which has RGB and is going to be way more than enough for the i5 13600K. If you make that downgrade, the total price will be around $1,500 by the time of filming, and if you want the price to be even lower while maintaining the same level of performance, you can swap the case from the NZXT H7 Flow RGB to the Fantex XT Pro Ultra. The Fantex XT Pro Ultra is quite cheaper. It comes with 4 pre-installed RGB fans, a front mesh panel as well, amazing airflow, and the most important thing is that if you get this case instead, the price is going to be around $1,470. And then if your main focus is gaming and you are not going to be doing any content creation as much, then I do recommend you going from the i5 13600K to the Ryzen 5 7600. Now, I have both CPUs and the Ryzen 5 7600 is more power efficient efficient. It achieves about the same level of gaming performance as the 13600K, but you save more money in your electricity bill, and on top of that you get DDR5 memory and it's more upgradable over time. Let's say down the line you want to upgrade to the fastest gaming CPU in the market in the Ryzen 7 7800X3D, or maybe you want to upgrade to a newer CPU from AMD in the next few years. Well, this is going to be possible with the Ryzen 5 7600 because you will get a motherboard that's going to support newer CPUs in the next few years. And if you go for the Intel CPU, the max CPU that you can get is the 14900K, and that's the limit. If you want to get a new CPU from Intel in the next few years, then you will have to replace your entire motherboard. And by the way, i9 Intel CPUs right now are going through stability issues, so I would not recommend you buying an i9 14900K or 13900K or even an i7 14700K. Keep in mind that I never had any issues with the i5 13600K. Now, you could have the perfect PC like this one right here, but if the monitor is not right, you will be wasting your money, because you can have the fastest PC in the entire market, but if it's not displaying, then you are just wasting your money. And the ideal monitor for this exact PC is the Omen 27QS. I have tested this monitor myself in the past. It's a 240Hz 1440p monitor, so you get the best of both worlds. Let's say you want to play high FPS shooters, well, you get a 240Hz refresh rate, and if you want to play high GPU demanding games, you get an amazing picture quality. And since it's a 1440p resolution monitor, the 4070 Ti Super is definitely capable of playing any game that you want at max settings. Now, this monitor has an APS panel, which means that the colors look great, and on top of that, it has a really nice discount by the time of filming, going for $349, which means that it's not the most expensive 1440p 240Hz monitor out there. As I said, 1440p resolution is ideal for this system. However, if you want to play at 1080p, or if you want a higher image quality and you want to buy a 4K monitor, you will have those alternatives down below as well, but I do recommend you buying the Omen monitor if you want the best price to performance experience. To finish this video, let me give you my final thoughts. Should you buy this system or should you not? Well, as I said before, this system in my opinion is the best $1,500 PC build overall in case you want to do gaming, content creation, productivity work, and everything in between. However, once again, if you want to play esports shooters at 1080p resolution and you want to achieve the highest frame rate because you will buy a 540Hz monitor, for example, then I do recommend you going for the esports PC instead. Otherwise, if you play at 1440p or 4K, or if you want to play high demanding titles like Cyberpunk 2077, The Last of Us Part 1, Red Dead Redemption 2, and this type of games, then just get the $1,500 main system, which is going to be ideal for you. If you have a different budget, let's say you want to spend $2,000 or maybe $3,000, or maybe you want to spend less than $1,500, you want to stay around $1,200 or under $1,000 if you are on a tight budget, then I do recommend you watching my video on the best gaming PC builds of the month for every budget and every resolution. You will have that one in the top right of the screen, and if you need my personal PC help, then that's going to be the top link in the description. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.